Welcome back, Truth Seeker. January 23rd, 2018. It's been a while since I did one of those 10 questions videos. So, we'll do it a little bit different this way. I'll just think of some good questions people have asked me recently that I haven't answered. And a question I got today that I liked was, Zach, do you ever have fun? What do you do for fun? And I imagine the person asked me that because it seems like I'm always making videos about what's going on in the news. And, you know, honestly, I used to have a lot more fun in life. And what I used to do for fun was compete in recreational sports. I went to the gym every day. I played rec basketball, rec softball, rec flag football. Played a lot of rec sports. That's what I've always enjoyed doing. Athletics, staying in shape, competing. And what happened to me the week before I turned 30 was I ripped my shoulder. Got a really bad injury. Made it so I couldn't do as much stuff in the gym. Couldn't play ball for a while. I didn't have insurance, and I haven't since. I'm 34 years old now. I never got surgery, so my shoulder's never been quite right. I think it's healed up somewhat, but there's still pain and discomfort in my shoulder, and if I throw a ball, I can't throw as well as I used to be able to, that's for sure, and pain builds up pretty quick from throwing. So anyway, I used to have a lot more fun. I used to be a lot more active. And, everything's good and bad. When I got injured, it caused me to have to start looking for some new things to do and start doing some research on things I've always cared about, like the truth, and figuring out what's going on with all these lies and propaganda in the media. And I ended up finding Gematria shortly after I turned 30, about a month after. So perhaps if I never got hurt, I never would have found Gematria. That said, what do I do for fun now? I live with my girlfriend. Her and I, we have a good relationship. We have a lot of fun. But, honestly, I don't get out as much as I should, and I don't do as many fun things as I should. I'm mostly just motivated to continue with this work and make this work get somewhere where it matters and has a bigger difference than it's already had. And at the same time, doing this work, I wouldn't say it's fun, but it satisfies me, it fulfills me, because it's always been a major goal of mine to cause change in this world. I've been disgusted with this world since I was a young one, and I feel like this research has the power to make things actually change. It's gonna have to get on a bigger stage and in front of more people's eyes before that happens, but doing this, it has meaning to me. So maybe not fun, but it fulfills the spot where normally fun would be. It's like the replacement for fun. Doing something with meaning. Doing something with purpose. So, I think that answers that question, Fun, being active has always been my fun thing. I can enjoy a movie like someone, but I'd rather go out and do something than sit in front of the television screen and watch somebody else do something. So, anyway, that's the part about fun. Other people always ask, well, how did you even figure out Gematria? And I know I've answered this before, but I get asked this all the time, so I might as well answer it again. So you have to understand, from September 11, 2001, I was 18 years old. From that day on, I was always looking for what was going on in the world. It was obvious to me that there was something with numbers and propaganda. 911, September 11th, national emergency. We got the 911 emergency dialing code. I just knew something was up. And in addition to that, just looking at the news, I noticed certain numbers would always come up, especially 47. I could literally watch CNN and they would have a story about 47 people found dead or 47 people dead in a terrorist attack, and then flip over to another news station and they're talking about 47 pounds of marijuana recovered in a drug bust. And, you know, I was just like, what's up with 47? I could flip over to ESPN, they'd be talking about some stat, 47 of this. Thinking, okay, what's going on? I just keep flipping the station, it's 47. I open the newspaper, it's 47. What's up with 47? And so I was always looking for this meaning to numbers. Like, what's up with numbers? Is there something to numbers I don't know about? You know, all I ever learned about numbers in school was they were for counting. They were for doing math, for future planning, finances, you know, counting calories. What else are numbers for? And it took a long time to find the answer to that. And I cannot tell you exactly what I was doing in this specific moment, but I know I was on the web, and I was just looking, I was searching things having to do with numbers, and then this word Gematria popped up. I said, oh, what's that? Never heard of that word. And I read about it, and I said, huh, that's interesting. Letters and numbers and words with matching values having relationships. So I learned, then I want to know more about Gematria in the English language, and I found this website that had 2 ciphers. And I'm pretty sure this website didn't credit to Manly P. Hall, but I'd bet anything that they got the information from Manly P. Hall, because in his book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, he shares the 2 ciphers that I began with, using the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z is 26, and then reduction Gematria, which is you make each letter a single digit. So J is the 10th letter. Instead of J being worth 10, it's 1 plus 0 is 1. K is the 11th letter, 1 plus 1 is 2. Z is the 26th letter, 2 plus 6 is 8. So I read on this website there were these 2 ciphers, and I thought, well, how can I start performing some meaningful experiments, if you will, to see if Gematria has any relevance in English? And I thought, I'll decode the 50 states. I'll decode the names of all 50 states and see if there's any sort of pattern that pops out. Because I've always wondered where the state names came from. Some of the state names are really bizarre, and, you know, where'd they come up with these names from? So I decoded all 50 states, and I noticed that in the reduction format, there were only 3 that summed to 33. And they were the first state, Delaware, the 6th state, Massachusetts, and the 50th and final state, New York. 3 33 states, first and last, and the 6th. And the numerology of 33 is 3 plus 3 equals 6. And so I thought, how can I see if there's more meaning to this? And I started looking at the dates, the numerology of the establishment of the state dates, and I noticed that of the first 13 colonies, 3 were established on dates with numerology of 33. The first, Delaware, which also has a 33 name, the 9th, New Hampshire, and the 13th and final, Rhode Island. You know, three of the first 13 colonies established on dates with numerology of 33, again, first and last, and the 9th instead of the 6th, and I thought, well, 3 times 3 is 9, maybe coincidental, but something up with 3 and 33. And from there I thought, well, what else can I decode? What else can I figure out? And I just started decoding words and looking for logical pairings, because this was what Gematria is supposed to be, and I noticed right away that people was 33, and person was 33, and society was 33, and I thought, that's really interesting. You know, there's 33 vertebrae in every person. I've read that Freemasonry, you know, what it's all about, the obsession with 33 is the Kundalini, who have the belief that there's spiritual ascension up the 33 vertebrae of the human spine. And, you know, just starting with things like that, I thought, wow, that's really fascinating. And then reading more about Gematria and learning it was biblical, I just thought, well, what about Jesus? I mean, if it's biblical, Jesus, where did the name Jesus come from? And so I decoded Jesus, and then I decoded cross, and then I decoded gospel and Messiah and parables. And I noticed they all sum to the same value. They all sum to 74. the same as English, the same as Gematria. I thought, wow, they're all 74. And 74 in numerology is 7 plus 4 is 11. And if you do Jesus with the reduction method, it sums to 11. 11's the master number, all importance, signifying great power. Numbers coded into Jesus. And I mean, it was probably August or September, I was posting these things on my Facebook and asking people what they thought. And almost everyone was saying coincidence. And I'd say, wow, you guys just all think that's a coincidence, huh? And to me, it didn't seem like a coincidence, so I just kept digging. And I started noticing major news stories, the details of the story. The words to the story had the same gematria as the numbers within the story, like Sandy Hook. They reported that Adam Lanza weighed 112 pounds. And in gematria, Sandy Hook, using the alphabetic order, sums to 112. And around that same time, I noticed that 112 was the alt dialing code for 911. Emergency, state of emergency, something needs to be done, scary school shootings. But I said, oh, look at this, 100-pound Adam lands at the airport, and then Sandy Hook equals 112. And then I looked, as time went on, I noticed more things, such as Adam Lanza's reportedly born April 22nd, which is the 112th day of the year. In time, just doing more research, found more things. Adam Lanza supposedly shot first graders. In the history of the UK, there was a Doon Blaine massacre. A man shot first graders at random, similar to the Adam Lanza story, and because of that, they made major legal changes in the UK. They took away gun ownership rights, essentially for everyone, except for hunters. You could have a hunting rifle with a special license. But what I noticed about Doon Blaine using gematria is using the alphabetic order. Doon Blaine sums to 73. Elementary school sums to 73. In reduction, the Doon Blaine shooting happened on the 73rd day of the year. The 73rd day in 1996. And that was March 13th, by the way, 1996. That was a date with numerology of 112, and the parallels between Doon Blaine and Sandy Hook started to mount. I noticed that the name Adam Lanza, using the alphabetic order, was 73, and I noticed that Sandy Hook was on the 73rd meridian. And anyway, it was just building like that. Learning the code, applying the code, documenting my findings, and then over time researching more and seeing the greater and greater overlap. And then before long, I realized that gematria, not only did it apply to the news stories and events in history, it applied to elections, it applied to presidential assassinations, it applied to the mysteries of so many celebrity deaths. I figured out Tupac and Notorious B.I.G. and all the incredible parallels. And then what I realized, like the last piece I realized out of all the things I still teach about, is how the sports games were scripted by this same code. And that really blew me away when I first found it out. And I remember my earliest videos showing, and the comments, 90% of the comments would, even to this day, as good as the research and as much I've proven, I still get atrocious comments for showing the sports rigging. But, back then I used to get just 90% brutal comments. People thought it was so stupid. And of course, the reason people appreciate the work now is because I understand more and I can show more about history and just the numerous examples throughout history. So this is what gematria has been for me, something I discovered, something I applied. And when I first started, all I had was, pencil and paper. I didn't know about any gematria calculators. I'm pretty decent with math, so I can do the calculations quick in my head, but it just started on pen and paper, and then if you watch my earliest videos, they were on pen and paper, and then I got fancy and I got a whiteboard. Then I learned how to do them on the computer, and then people showed me that there were gematria calculators, and then Derek came along and built the gematrinator.com website, which made everything so much easier because it's everything I ever did all in one website, plus even more. And, that's what the knowledge still is. We're still building with it. We're learning new ciphers. We're learning how the ciphers are interrelated. The trouble with that is when I first started and I had 2 ciphers, a lot of people would say, well, maybe if it was just 1 cipher, then I could support, but these 2 ciphers I'm not so sure about. And now we have multiple ciphers, but the thing is, you know, even with just the 2 ciphers, you can prove a lot, as I once did. And if you actually take the time to study Gematria and pay attention to the topic, you can begin to appreciate just how deeply coded the English language is and how well thought out these ciphers are, the way they all intertwine. You know, as I often show on my channel. So anyway, what do I do for fun? How did I discover Gematria? The third question is, you know, that I always get, even though I've told about it before, is how do I support myself? And, well, I can't answer that one, but I'm doing what I got to do to support myself right now. Whenever I'm driving around, it's normally because somebody called me. So I used to be an elementary school teacher, you know. I'd rather be doing that, but when you're an elementary school teacher, you don't have a life, you don't have any time if you do your job right. You're working with your students before school, after school, during school, you're planning, you're grading papers. Used to be a teacher, and you know, I had no free time then. So if I want to do this, if I want to get the word out, you know, there's certain things I have to do in my life to make sure I can stay afloat and, you know, still have time to speak out. And since 2013, that's the other thing. You know, I just been fed up with all the lies and the nonsense and seeing what's really going on in this nation, and no justice for September 11th, and constant fear-mongering and propaganda, and a crumbling education system that's bankrupt. And, you know, I'm just in protest mode. So I do what I gotta do to survive and protest. And once this book comes out, I'm hoping, instead of doing what I do now, I can, you know, travel and speak out, inform people, teach people, spread the knowledge, and, you know, make something bigger happen. We gotta overthrow the tyranny. The tyranny makes this world more negative for everyone than it needs to be. All right, Truth Seeker, I'm at my destination. Thank you for listening. As always, books coming soon. Be sure to subscribe to my other channels. This is not my main channel right now. This is the channel I upload to from my cell phone, because that's the only way I can upload to this channel. All right, Truth Seeker. Till next time.